guys have the ability, because
you said we can
you
do it
are
in the room.
advisory, you can choose the time that you want to meet. With the technology we have to record your meetings and to make them publicly accessible, you can meet anytime. You know, you guys don't have the formality of public hearings, there may be times when you want to meet in the assembly room and have a big public thing, which is an option, but you guys are really flexible. And, I know with my staff, with myself.
What about Kellen?
Yeah, well, Kellen is an employee, so I'm Sabrina. I know most of you. I worked with Steve for a very long time. I've been with the town for 7 years. Prior to my coming to the town, I knew Steve. As I was telling some of the ladies the other night, my job right now is to make sure that Steve's good work is not undone in the town. And this board plays a very pivotal role in the town's environment and protecting the environment and all the issues that you guys deal with. I respect you highly for doing what you do, and I intend to continue that. I have an assistant, Kellen Cantrell, who is my assistant planner, and until we find a replacement in the sense of the position for an environmental coordinator, Kellen's gonna be coming to your meetings on a weekly basis. He'll be taking minutes, he'll kind of be your go-to staff person. I am behind Kellen. Whatever you need, if you need to talk to me, if you need resources from me, I am the person to get it done for you, and I promise to get it done for you. So with that said, I am very excited. Ann and I and Steve met before Steve left, and we had great conversations regarding some of the direction that you guys are going in, and I cannot support it. I highly support it. I mean, it is wonderful. I worked very hard, not with Kellen, but my previous assistant, Samantha Leroy, very hard to update the town's comprehensive plan and to see all of your objectives, and I'm sure Ann will talk about it a little bit more, aligned with the comprehensive plan update is remarkable. And what I had said is that the direction that you guys want to take this board in, the things that you want to do are very fundable in the sense of obtaining funding to do them because they are associated with the comprehensive plan. There's a lot of grant resources out there. We can assist you with writing grants. Again, the issue is starting small, what do you want to focus on and how do you want to move forward? And so my office is at your service in that regard to help you move forward with what you want to do.
That's great.
Okay, so I've talked enough, so go ahead.
So, all right, now, my thought was, looking at what we've already basically decided upon with our objectives, and we've spoken to Steve about this a lot. We can't do everything at once. So, my question is, if we go around the room, what is your favorite goal? What is the goal that's most important to you? If you look minutes and look at our goals, and it's two-sided.
It was interesting, because when we first did this, there was overlap between and among, and interpretation of,
It takes a long
things
time
that
to kind of get to where you wanna go, I think.
Yeah, no, it's not easy.
So,
And as a word of advice, it's also, choose things that are easy to accomplish too.
Right.
So that you can kind of get a check in the box.
Right.
and
Well, some of the stuff, I think also, we've already done the brochure,
right.
right?
I'd like to beef that up a little bit, so
Okay.
because of the single page, so kind of in my head, thinking that since we have the website, that we can have eventually, Chip was so good with the idea of the questions, very user-friendly, with pictures, a color brochure that kind of is tantalizing, introduces the idea. And then behind it, a longer list of resources, more depth. For people who are interested, instead of sending them out to different sites, it's a little bit of explanation behind a list as well. So there are some, and it's not reinventing the wheel, it's just accumulating the information, culling through, finding the best information, like you said, with the invasive plant information, that was a great, and putting it in one site that people can then go to the link, and it's edited curated by the conservation board, and it's applicable to our specific area, because people think, you know, the whole native idea, they, you know, it's being co-opted sometimes by some of the plant companies, so they'll say pollinator friendly, so it's just, our language will be the same that we use in the brochure, that we had in the mailing, that will be in maybe several pages, and even you can do the pictures, it's online, they get to see what the tree is instead of a list. Lists are great, but I think that you'll get more interest and more plantings.
Even the native plant center with their pre-sale brochure, it's so
Yes.
compelling because it gives you the list and it tells you a little
Yeah, it
bit
shows the
about it,
picture.
is
Gives you
it
the
deer
picture,
friendly, yeah, and
pictures
then it has
or-
a whole other sheet that you can mix and match, you know, number 12 is this photo and
Right.
suddenly you're like, oh, I have to have that plant.
And honestly,
I
the
agree,
one
it's
better
really
is to actually have the plant. There are some people who we've tried to do pre-orders for perennials, for example, but a lot of people don't do that because they really wanna see. They wanna
Yeah.
hold it, you know, it's kind of, and pairing that with an educational, I know I'm going off, so that's something we can have on the website. But for example, Missy's program, when she did Evergreen and Effortless, I had already repotted some of our native ground covers, and so I asked if she wanted them as props, and she sold them, and she
Yeah.
sold almost all of them.
Yeah.
And because here you're talking about them, and then you have them. And I think that if we're trying to move shrubs and trees for our layers, which are really hard, that's the way to do it, is to have them available when we do
These
a
presentations.
presentation.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And to have it priced accessibly
Price
for
to
people.
sell.
Yeah. You know, even if we, you know, get plugs and we grow them so that it is more feasible, okay.
I'm
That's
sure
kinda-
there are a couple of nurseries, like either Rosedale or Michael's, that would probably be willing to bring in, you know, additional native plants. They tend to carry native plants already, and maybe they would partner with us somehow. And that's a nice edge for them, because then they can also, if you think more globally, regionally, they can maybe start doing this with other towns too.
Right, they're afraid to stock things if they don't move it.
So I can offer you in regards to your brochure, I mean, the town is in the process of redoing the website, but as the conservation board, you will get a home on the website where you can kind of organize the information that you want. You know, if you wanna go to your, you know, native planting section on the website, you can then have your broshure linking to the pictures, linking to everything that you wanna do.
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
already
the one,
connected?
we haven't finished that bit yet, but there was a section for resources.
Right, cause I think Lucille's, are you aware that she's already working on the website?
And it was just
on the town's page, like that
updating
we have
it.
a page.
It wasn't just redesigned, it was just updating
I'm not,
what was there.
and
That's not
that
different.
is fine, I'm
Yeah.
talking about the town is
Yes,
in the process
yes.
of redesigning it.
Yes.
And so with, if you're already looking at the conservation board's page,
Right.
I'm the one to make sure that it gets to the point you wanna get to.
Okay, well, I'm
Okay,
gonna,
so
we
again-
should get the least the right information in there.
It'll just
I
grow
haven't
into
done
this new website, but
Yes.
it's already, I just wanted to make sure you're aware that
Yep.
Lucille's
Yeah.
already working on it.
Good, great.
Yeah. But then the links that we wanna add on, we need to keep those handy.
Yep.
You know, so
Yeah.
that we can post them whenever we need to. But getting to the point where you were thinking of,
Yeah.
like, if you're thinking of how to sequence all the things that we need to do, I don't know if it's like pick one, or if it's really more about,
Cause some are already underway, that's what someone suggested
Right.
earlier.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just going down the list and like, we have designated folks to work on different pieces.
Well, like the
So-
Glacier
Yeah.
Arboretum, Missy and I
Yeah.
met with Ike and Steve.
Right, that's
And
it.
she sent a proposal to Ike, she
Oh.
has been unable to get in touch with him, he's not responding, even though he said we had a proposal put together to have someone come in and help us to do a plan, like the 5-year plan, say this is what we should focus on. First the meadow, and then move on to invasives, and would have a, you know, we could start on the meadow and little demonstration gardens.
Right.
And that's, you know, we need someone to come in and help us to organize what to do first and how to do it. So we're waiting for Ike, cause apparently he can sign for something under $3,000
Right,
from the Glacier fund.
right, but I was thinking, I don't mean to, but I'm just thinking bringing in Sabrina, I think, shouldn't we kind of basically coordinate with, I mean, you're really our touch point person, shouldn't we copy
Right,
and
I
let
like
you
if,
kind of?
yes, I like if I know that you
think that would
send
be
something
good.
to Ike, I can say, hey Ike, have you reviewed it, blah, 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 blah. So what I'd like to ask, if you're communicating, cause I'm not gonna restrict you from talking to people, cause I think it's important, the more people you talk to.
But I think you need to be in the loop.
Right, copy me, CC my email,
So we're all
because
on the
and
same page.
and you know, and Ike is busy right now getting the fields ready, doing the summer
Yeah,
camp stuff, you know, so he's not doing it maliciously or he just
Oh,
hasn't
yeah, yeah.
gotten to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But from a sense of going out to a consultant, now's the time, given the season we're in, you don't wanna have to be getting this all together in July, August, you wanna do this now.
Because in the fall, we were, you know, if possible, we wanted to start getting rid of what's clogging up the meadow.
Yeah.
And I talked about having the big brush machine that could scap up the stuff that's already growing there, so, you know, there's a lot of things we could do this year, as long as we get that proposal put out there to have someone come in.
Yeah.
And this actually goes to the other thing of helping and working with Ike in terms of supporting the grounds crew and
Yep.
being able to, you know, start from the we are here to work with you type of thing. And so, you know, while saying, you know, that this is an addition to the to-do list, but what we'd like to do is actually make it so that we can plan the plantings that will be lower maintenance in the future, that we can start getting a handle on some of the, you know, the scope of what he's doing as well. When it comes to turf and that, there are some great ideas that, you know, that might be, or at least we can be supportive with, you know, maybe helping, you know, find those resources with them.
And I think that is critical, cause I can tell you, we spend a lot of time, a lot of the people that do the grounds maintenance don't have the expertise. They listen to what you tell them to do, and some of them are better at it than others, and to have assistance to train, to work with somebody, if you're borrowing the brush whacker, you know, if Ike is willing to donate the brush whacker with an operator, and you guys can show him where you wanna work, you know, that's all part and parcel, it's education on all sides. And I like that too, Steve worked here for 25 years. While he was working here, he got his arborist license, you know, he did his landscaping, do you know what I'm saying? We need to develop other staff who are in these roles, and why not have them be our groundskeepers, so
exactly.
when we're trying to
That's
do
great.
things, we do it
You
right.
already have somebody in the house that knows.
Exactly.
And it develops their
Exactly.
skill set and
That's what I'm saying, this is a
Yeah.
win-win for everybody, cause you guys are the knowledge base of your own particular areas, and I would like to see that transferred, particularly to Park and Rec staff, you know, to people who wouldn't necessarily care.
And one other thing, just as when you're talking about Park and Rec, we heard a lecture by Bedford or North Salem or one of those, they did a summer camp. Remember that woman? They set up a summer camp where they had students, kids, help them pull invasives.
Absolutely.
Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah.
Or like a core CRPS,
Yeah, right? Like a week or two, and they did it very scientifically. They did it by grid.
I am all in.
In a park, like
Like a community service
It's
learning
like
project, yeah.
and for this in the summer, but they did it, they called it a camp. And they got kids to come and do
Interesting.
it, and then they did a little bit of like environmental
That's
science
outdoor nature
learning
yeah,
as part of the,
interesting.
Because
That's
Interesting,
cool?
I mean, how would we, so you're saying it was coordinated through the town, like a town camp?
they, they called it a camp, and it was through like their,
Through their parks?
do you remember it was that thing over at Mount Kisco?
Oh, the outdoor?
The outdoor thing that we
Yeah.
went to.
It might have been part of their Parks and Rec, like off, similar camp.
We could find out more about it, but it was
I'd
like
be
a
curious
cute
how
idea,
they-
right?
Yeah, it's similar to what they did years ago, I don't know if they still do it with the vines going up and down.
Oh, yeah, the
That's-
free
yeah.
tree.
Right.
That-
And the vine cutters
Right.
organization. There's
They used to have
also
kids that
for
did
a
that.
science component or that, there is, I spoke with some veteran's names, was it Stacy, the new member who was at the
Oh, Stacy Morgan, the
Stacy,
new neighbor,
yes,
the new
who
resident.
just came in. So at the Calder Center in Armagh, I think it is, it's affiliated with Fordham, and they have the students working on plots of invasives. So they are actually running simple experiments with a limited time frame, but it does involve a different skill set. It's because as much as we would just love 8 straight hours of we have to say that, you know, at the same time, they're looking to have, you know, something more with that, and so being able to offer a research component.
Yeah.
We can do something simple of how to set it up and how, you know, how to collect the data, simple descriptive statistics.
But this is
we can do
also a
that.
great thing when you hire the consultant to come in and do the assessment, if you say this is kind of how you wanna facilitate implementation to a certain extent, then they can work with you to help identify that educational component that also is like a hands-on,
Yeah.
get the work done. So you have
Lots
a
of
great
opportunity.
opportunity.
Just to build on this, I mean, having young people do this is fantastic, but there are many residents who I think if we had as part of
I
the
think,
continuing
yeah.
ed
Yeah.
classes,
You know,
Right.
I think a lot
day
of
in the summer
older
each season where we go out and pull invasives together, cause then they can learn and do it in their own
Yeah.
yards, cause we can help
Yes.
them identify, give
Yeah.
them field experience,
Yeah,
and then they
yeah,
can
yeah,
use it on
yeah.
their own properties.
That's awesome.
I have to show you guys the literature from the Invasives Project in Pound Ridge. They have these great know them,
really
see them, they really
advanced.
make that connection between what you see around and then what is in your backyard, because it is the same,
Is that what they call it? Know them, see them?
yeah, they
I
have a
love
great
that.
thing, I have to
Is that
organize.
who did
Oh,
that?
so in Pound Ridge, they have a program called the Invasives Project, or TIP,
Okay.
which is affiliated with a whole constellation. Pound Ridge has deep pockets and
They have a land conservation group, they have a conservation board, they have this group, I mean,
they
it's a
have a
really
staff
nice,
of
and it's a
seven
small
and
community.
one preserve for God's sake, they have an
Yeah.
entire staff of 7 people. So, but they also have a lot of land. But it's a great, they're very active, and they work with their town conservation board. They started this probably about, 5 years ago? And so they have now established postcard literature and, you know, working on messaging, which I think is very interesting. And so, yeah, I have a big pile of that, I'll bring that to the next meeting on that.
And they go out to properties too, they go
But
to
who
your
is,
home.
I hate to say it, but exactly who is they? Who
This
are,
group,
oh,
the
but
invasives
who are they?
Invasives Project.
Invasives project.
It's
Right,
like
but I'm
a
saying
group of
who-
volunteers
Okay,
who started this like 5 or 6 years
so it's a
ago.
nonprofit, like a.
Yeah, I don't know if they have formal nonprofit status, but
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
neighbors, volunteers, and they've aligned, as you were saying, they have a nice constellation of groups that all work together now, but they really are the model. I mean, I think they bring goats in, you know, there's a lot, they're doing a lot of
Goats
things.
eat- it sounds gimmicky.
No, I know.
But it's effective, and I'm looking at the library because it's right downtown. It would be great to work in with kids too. But anyway, that's a little off topic. Sorry.
No, I was just
This
thinking.
is all good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, and I hate to be,
God.
to bring it up, it's the lawyer in me. The one thing I'm worried about with kids and pulling up invasives is making sure no one has that they do it.
Right.
Liability issues.
Yeah. That's what worries me, you know, that's something we have to think about, how do you do it? I mean, there's some kids that'll just dive right into it, there'd be the one kid that pulls something and blows up with some allergy or something. So we need to think about that a little bit.
Yeah. To find out what they do
And
to
older,
safeguard.
yes, whereas people who are retired or whatever, at this point, I think they know hopefully what they can avoid and what they should, they may be
Right.
an easier group, and they have a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah.
And there may be some people that are really,
Yeah.
you know, dedicated or into that,
It's
I don't know.
not the perfect time for pulling vines. The early winter is better for that. But there are plenty other invasives to handle other than the vines.
The mugwort's just coming up now, I mean, there's a lot, you know, every season there are different opportunities that present themselves depending.
It's an invasive for every season.
I'm gonna bring you back.
Probably true.
I'm gonna bring you back, okay, because I'm hearing goal 33. Okay, because this, what you guys are talking about, assume conservation board's oversight role with stewardship of glacier, coordinate with the parks on ongoing management stewardship, however that happens, whether it's with parks or not.
Yes, number two.
And the stream restoration.
And stream restoration, you know, so you guys have a lot to say about goal 33.
So yes, I have a question of what is happening, because we were so excited when Steve had been discussing this. I know that I heard somewhere about the basketball court and the time schedule for that, so I was wondering how that impacts the stream mitigation.
I'm not sure on the timing of that. You know, I'll check on that
Okay.
for you. I don't know where that was left off. I know that, you know, the project was cut back.
The basketball?
The basketball court's still a basketball court and it's still a playground, but I don't think that the parking is in there anymore, or I'm not sure of all the details, but I will figure that out.
Yeah, that would probably be,
So-
also, how does how does the issue with the gas station and the mitigation there affect this? I was kind of, they're not next to each other, but I'm curious.
They're all part of the same system.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking when
So
you started mentioning that.
Steve is still working on the gas station with
Okay.
me. The town board entered into a lease agreement. I don't know if it's formalized yet, to sell the gas station, a portion of the land.
Right,
We had a heart to heart with the property owner and said, you need to show some extensive mitigation of that stream system, of the stream banks. It's not a matter of just planting within 10 or 25 feet of the bank. It's actually going in and dredging it if necessary, stabilizing the banks, native plantings, making it a healthy, stabilized system. The owner of the property, the representative from the Apache Oil, completely understood what Steve and I were saying. He's like, I said, I don't want you to come in with something on a piece of paper that has absolutely no documentation. If you want town approval to utilize the buffer area of that stream system, you need to make it better than what it is today. Full well knowing that some of the trees may need to come down, it will need to be restabilized, replanted. He understood what Steve and I were saying. If they can demonstrate that they can improve the condition of the stream system and improve the buffer with 10 feet, then it will be likely that a 10-foot buffer will be adequate. If they cannot and they need to do it within 25 feet, then a 25-foot buffer will be adequate. The onus is put on this gas station owner to demonstrate to the town that he can improve the condition of that stream by utilizing town land for his project. And that is the only way that the planning board will approve his project. And so it means water samples, it means really putting it to the test. So Steve is still working on that with me. Okay.
so I was curious about that because I guess there's always been a lot of, this came up years ago actually, I forget when it came up in some meeting, with what was going on behind the gas
Yes,
station
this
a
is
long,
the
long time ago.
opportunity
Yeah,
to clean that up.
right, because I don't know, I mean, I have no idea if there's been any testing, that there's any
Yeah,
kind
they
of
have to
leakage in
clean,
the
they have to
underground
clean it up.
storage tanks. So
They,
the state gets involved.
it's already a DEC site.
Okay,
It already is, they need to close it out.
okay,
There's still cleanup that needs to be
Okay.
done. They will be ripping up the gas station whether or not they are using any of the town property to do so. Now is an
What are
up,
they putting there? I'm not
Well, they
familiar
have
with
to
the gas
pull up the
station
tanks.
situation.
what do you mean?
They're redoing what are they,
They have to redo the
what
tanks.
construction? Okay.
because
to
it's
redo
called
the tanks.
lust, leaking underground storage.
I don't know that the tanks are leaking.
Okay,
I know that they have to clean it up. So the DEC, it was a DEC spill site, it used to be a dry cleaner, I believe.
it was a dry cleaner?
I don't
Okay,
know.
okay, well,
I don't
if
know.
it was,
Yes,
Yeah.
again, so.
So we
that's what
So-
happened in Bedford, it's the
Yeah,
same thing,
yeah.
at some point they have to clean it up.
Yes,
So
so
it's a good
they're
opportunity.
going, this is a great, listen, the
Yeah.
fact that
DEC
he's
numbers
coming to the
everything.
town wanting land, this, and we have this entire restoration project going, renovation project going on downtown, now's the time to seize the moment, so we want him to do what's right.
Right,
He said he wants to do what's right. We need to see, will it make a difference? He needs to document to us that it will absolutely make a difference because he's ripping up that site anyway.
Yeah.
that's great if he wants to work with you.
I don't know, has this come up before, because I'm totally unfamiliar with what's going on there. So the gas station on the corner, is that the one you're
Yeah,
talking about?
Crescent
By
Peak
Peak
Station.
What is the land that they're asking to purchase?
The-
Like if this is the corner, where is the land?
So
Nice.
I'm gonna draw it this
You're
way.
going into the parking lot, I think.
Yeah, so here's the intersection, this is South Greeley.
Yeah.
Here's the gas station, here's his building, here's the stream right here. Right, the gazebo is over here. There, this is town held land right here. And then, this is the stream bank. So he's asking to purchase, and we own the land back here as well. He has been parking cars here,
Yeah.
storage of stuff over here. There are cars with trees growing through them. We're making him clean up all of the cars. He wants to take some of this area to further align his driveways, his pumps, and park. He wants to park a lot of cars there. I don't know if it's necessary.
Yeah, he does a lot of garage,
It-
he's quite a business with that.
Exactly, and so he has to go
Maybe.
before the planning board, and the
It's a really interesting, cause it does take away some land and it adds more of an industrial, more chemicals to
It-
downtown. It's
well,
an interesting question,
but here's the thing, the town board said that they're interested in selling him some of the land. The planning board is interested in making sure, through Steve and myself, making sure that the stream is protected, that it's enhanced, not just status quo. We know he has to dig up this site, they told us, okay? The pumps right now are way over here. He will be relocating them more central, so it will have better, it'll appear better. The traffic flow through here will be easier. But he's gotta do right by that stream. And how many cars he's gonna be allowed to have on site is gonna be a big subject with the planning board.
I mean, there are cars that, as you said, you don't even
Thank
go
you.
there because you're kind of stuck
They're
in the back.
Yeah,
And that's
that
just been
all
something
has
that's
to be
been
cleaned
happening
up.
for, I don't know how long,
Correct.
long time.
Thank you for drawing.
Yeah.
So, cause I was thinking that
I'll
might
have to walk there
affect
and
this
see.
stream. So that's why I'm thinking almost this
This whole section.
may have to stay on hold.
No, yeah.
Perhaps.
It's a different stream, I mean, do the streams
Well,
connect at some point? The one
they,
we're
This is the one
thinking-
right here.
well, that's
Well, that's
another,
not- this
there's
is not
another,
but it's not
they do,
this
they
stream.
both, they do
You're the
connect,
water
they
source.
go, yeah, they connect underneath the bridge. They all go into the sawmill, so they are connected.
Yeah.
They're tributary to the sawmill.
So,
So they're important streams.
yeah, I just don't know if what we do
So-
there
so-
affects, I'm not sure
Right,
if
No,
one
what-
would affect the
no.
other.
No, they're separated by the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no relationship between the two.
Okay.
Right, and we were talking about the one by the rec field as a
Right.
demonstration garden
Yes.
because of its location, right in the
Absolutely.
middle of town. And so many people do have they do have
Yep.
wetlands, and
Yeah.
this is a way to
one right
demonstrate
down
what to
here.
do
Yes.
with it.
No, which is a great idea, I just didn't know if we had to hold off because of what was going
Oh,
on
no,
with this.
no relationship,
Okay,
no relationship, go gangbusters.
okay.
We yelled at the contractors a couple weeks ago for blowing stuff into the stream.
Oh, yeah.
But again, that Ike, brand new, it was when Ike first started, I'm like, Ike, you can't have you guys doing that, you gotta tell them to stop it, it's against our stormwater regulations, you can't blow the phosphorus, everything. But you know what, Ike learned something that
I
day,
know.
right.
And it's not, that's one of the things that you see every day in neighborhoods. It's just underappreciated.
They're not complying also with the regulations around,
They're-
a lot of the
well, it's-
landscapers are supposed to be complying with it, but whether they are, we're not really enforcing it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's, whenever you see a landscaping truck, they're hurrying from one job to the next, and it's very hard to take the time, not that the time, it just isn't built into that model.
Right.
That's part of the problem, I think. So it's really difficult, because things happen that you don't wanna have happen, and probably the people doing them don't mean any harm, they're just trying to get the job done,
It's also
and it's difficult.
It's that everyone has their own too. If neighbors could even combine and have that, because it's easier in terms of less trucks going into the, same area, everybody has their own service. So they have their people coming on the different schedule, and often it's, the leaves are blown from one side of the property line and they're blown on the other side of the property line. Or worse, the lot across the street is empty, so everyone blows it to the lot across the street. But there's no coordination because everyone is just acting in an individual
Yes,
self-interest
and there
way.
are so many landscape, I can't, it's so amazing to me how many there are, just amazing. There may be, one thought I had is, I think, and I don't know if we can ever do anything about it, but in terms of the lawnmower, like how lawns are mowed, I don't know if we'll ever get into that about the thatching, I mean, everyone has a different way of mowing. I've been
Coming up
interviewing
tomorrow night, is it
landscaping
coming up tomorrow
people
night at the town board work session?
about the
The lawn-
blower.
leaf blowers.
Yeah, it's on there, yeah.
Well, they're all kinds of, I've been talking to various people, just I need to have somebody do my lawn this year, and it's just interesting to hear what they're gonna do.
To try and sell you.
Do you need to have someone, that's the big question. You know, that this is, we
Well, I
all
need-
think
I'll
we
be-
need, but
well-
do we, the lawn, there are a lot of ways the lawn can, we could get into this, but, so this is the question, everyone seems to think there's something they need to do. And we've all been convinced, when really there's some low maintenance things that you can really do on your own. And you don't really
Well,
need
what
to.
about mowing the lawn?
Well, you can have them lawn mowed, simple
Right.
mowing, you know,
Yeah,
every other
that's what
week or
I'm
every
talking-
3
We
weeks.
have our guy come and mow the lawn.
Yeah, I
And
would
it
not.
doesn't need to be mowed every week,
It-
that's the
it
thing,
is-
it's
it-
over mowed,
Right.
basically. And we have it like every 2 or 3 weeks
Right.
mowed.
Well, I would think it is more important in the spring, as the summer comes around, and actually you could go at least 2 weeks, a lot of times with, drought issues, if we have a drought,
Yeah.
which we may never have again with all this rain.
We will in August.
Yeah.
We will.
And they just kind of glide over the dead grass.
It's really interesting. Originally, my motto was I didn't want to hear about turf. I wasn't interested in it. I thought, why even put that on my radar? But I have to say, it is actually fascinating, and there's such an opportunity for everything from your rec fields in town, of course, individual homeowners, but also cemeteries. You think about the amount that is turf and growing with development, and there is a whole list of ways to manage it, and
Best practices, really effective.
there's a program, and actually for those who are seeking additional training, they actually have an associate degree. It's in Connecticut, it's Waterbury, Connecticut, but some people live in Connecticut, so perhaps that's not too bad. But so one of the speakers was from an private school, I forget the name, in Westport, which has absolutely organic practices, no pesticides, very strict regulations on what you can and cannot do. And his approach was just literally eye-opening. I actually found myself interested in what you can do, because what he's doing, it really upended a lot of the ways that you're thinking. And on the sound, you're worrying about nitrogen, you're worrying about phosphorus here, but we should all be worrying about nitrogen as well. And the idea of, even for the timing, what sports are being played, so working with the fields, these fields are used not only during the school year, but then they run summer camps on them. So, even this little spoon feeding, which is just bizarre, that you cut your dose of the fertilizer by 1/10 and you do it just before the game. It's a way of, I would think.
It's turf management.
It is, and so I have to say that, as a resource, he was great. We were emailing afterwards, and, there are such potential for positive change and ways of upending, and the problem is by the time it gets percolated down to general practices is several years, right? And I'll just leave you with this. So a lot of people were talking about core aeration and thinking of Harvard University as the, over aerate and then seed with light compost. Actually, in terms of nitrogen, you're leaching so much. You can actually be putting too much, more than a 1/4 inch of compost a year can add excess nitrogen, which
Right, compost is
I
so
thought
overused in
it
general.
is so overused, and that's like your mantra. People are thinking, well, like a vitamin, if a little is good, then more is better, right? And a 1/4 inch is not a lot. Nobody puts a 1/4 inch. When they do it, they're charging for it. They pay to put it down. You have to find a way to make it economically advantageous to do the right thing environmentally with that. But anyway, so yeah.
So, the problem we're trying to solve right now, right?
Yes.
Is what do we do
have a lot
first,
of
second,
people like to
third,
talk.
fourth, right? Is that what we're trying to do?
Sorry.
We're trying to sequence what our
Yes.
next steps are, right? Because we have a lot of things that we wanna do and limited
And I mean, some
everything
things
to do.
are being, it might be
So
worth
the thing
looking at some of
is,
the
so
things that
the
are
thing
already
is,
underway.
I think that we do think that we do wanna move on Glacier, whatever that means. So whether it's do a plan with Ike, you know, that thing, so
It
I,
seems like it's somewhat.
so if you could follow up just to see what, you know, even if he's too busy but he can't look at it till June, at least we know we can't look at it until
Now,
June.
Ike is the department head who signs off on the glazier?
Yes.
Who no,
Okay.
signs off, he said he would sign
He's in
off
charge.
Sign off on the
trust.
expenditure
Or
of
he's
$3,000
not in charge of
dollars so that we could hire
Hire a consultant.
consultant to help us with a
Let me
plan.
ask you a question.
I wasn't
Are
on
you,
that, so.
is the intent to put out a request for proposals?
Not if we keep it under 3,000 is what we were told.
Can you get done what you want to get done for under 3,000?
Yes.
Okay,
Missy has contacted someone that she knows,
okay.
and he'd be willing to do it, but that's why we're limiting the scope. If we don't get a 10-year plan, maybe we'll get a 5-year plan. But we wanna get started.
The 5-year plan is fine.
yeah,
If
so-
we get a 10-year plan.
So that's that
I-
is one of our
question.
ones then,
Okay.
One
okay?
question about the $3,000 thing, how often can it be, in other words, can you plan a project over a year and every 2 months get another $3,000, or how does it work?
Right, is there only one opportunity a year to
Yeah.
get funding
Do you-
from
I
the
don't
we
know
know?
that.
Is that
I think
Also,
he's
let
just
me-
gonna give us a
wait a
one-time
minute.
free, I mean, I wasn't at the meeting, but I'm
It's a
just.
good question.
There's a limited amount in Glacier.
Yeah.
Once you have the plan, it makes it ripe for additional fundings. Every July is the consolidated funding application. Throughout the year, there are other funding sources, the Greenway applications, all of the work that you wanna do is consistent. If you have the base document, the base plan that sets forth your goals and objectives for Glacier, what you wanna do and how you're gonna do it, doing one of those tasks fits in neatly, scores highly, it's consistent with overriding policy, comprehensive plan, you become a high candidate, particularly if you're working with other entities for funding. So you will maximize the dollar amount that is in Glacier because you can carry it further.
Right.
It's like
Okay,
matching contributions.
exactly, so
Okay.
this first step is essential to getting you off the ground to doing whatever it is you wanna do at Glacier.
Yes.
So,
So that's a
what
priority.
right, so my,
Okay, that's okay, so then the second thing, we were talking about that stream mitigation with Steve, but my recollection is he made it sound like, yes, we're going to do
Happen
that.
regardless,
And it's going to happen, but
Right.
I don't know what state it was in terms of planning.
Right.
It seemed like something he knows, so maybe the
Yes.
next time,
yes,
you can say, next time you see him, and talk to him, say like, do we need to do anything, or is like, there's already a plan, and as soon as they say ready,
yeah,
Right,
the plans
No,
are
you're right.
purchased and installed, like,
Right.
that's what it felt like,
right.
but,
yes, you're right, it's exactly
but
what it
then,
felt
you know,
like.
now that he's not here, I'm like, I don't really know what the
Exactly.
answer
He was
is.
going to arrange for a company to come in to do the actual bank,
Yeah.
to do that, and then I think he was doing the plan.
He might have, and he might have already done it, and it might be
Exactly.
like packaged,
We just
but
don't
again,
know.
like, do you have to wait, that basketball thing gets paved over, whatever happens, and then
I don't know.
the next day, the landscaper trucks move in, like, I don't know what stage his landscaping thing is, so a little
Because
bit.
we don't
I
wanna
will
miss an
find that out.
opportunity.
Right, and
and
we're
we-
just gonna double
yeah.
check that with Steve,
work on
just to
CDC
see what it
would
is.
be a really good resource.
Going-
She could.
If they didn't do it already,
Right,
yes,
if they didn't do it
if they
already,
didn't do it
yeah.
already, but it sounded, do you remember, like Steve made it sound like it was sort of already kind of in the bag, but I might just,
hope.
I might have, but if not,
Maybe it's been waylaid from
but
the
if not-
basketball, I mean, that's,
but if not,
I don't
then
know.
we can work on planning
he
that.
usually
Right.
talks about,
You know?
he kind of didn't talk about it for a while, so I'm wondering if something
And-
happened.
Right,
And then the third
'Cause
thing,
that's not like him,
cause that's.
So-
I'll follow up with
Yeah.
him, I got
cause
it.
if something might have happened.
Yeah.
My
He'll
question
respond
is-
to my emails, but.
My question about going back to Glacier and what you were just saying, so should we be like, what are other near-term goals regarding Glacier? It's not just the field, like if you, obviously what's being done or proposed is limited by somewhat by the cost, trying to fit that in, but if we had access to more funds, being mindful of reality and what can be done, is there a second step that would naturally follow? Like my thing is that grate.
Well, Mike knows about the grate, he
Yeah, the
does know
grate.
about the grate.
This grate in this natural preserve is it's like, I don't know, from where it's like this metal thing, it looks like it belongs in a highway or something, and you're like,
And it's in
kind
the
of trip
middle of
her
a
over,
path over
and it's
part
quite
of the
dangerous
stream.
actually.
And when you step on it, it
Yes,
starts
it's
moving.
very unstable.
So, but he said that they did reset
Oh, okay.
that, but in terms
But
of
I
what
was
to do with
envisioning
it,
like
he's at least
wood or,
aware
you
of
know,
it.
like something, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
Well,
But
we don't know.
But I mean, if you went back and looked and said, well, if we could do a little bit more, what would it be? Or a little bit
Probably
more?
the demonstration gardens,
Okay, so that would be the
So-
second goal,
probably.
by
Yeah.
where the signs
And
are.
getting the brush taken out,
Okay, but,
because, you know, we,
Well, hopefully this planner that would give us like
right,
sequence.
a sequence of events,
Right.
something that is attainable, not like, you know, knocking down the whole house and
No,
rebuilding
no, but
it,
if
but
we- but
maybe
also-
just doing a bathroom.
Right. But
or
also
something.
just remember that once we get like sort of a roadmap, then if we wanna bring in other groups and tie it together to, you know, whatever that we could like maybe generate some more funding for and double.
Yeah, like what are the
But-
little
but we
areas
don't know
that would
yet.
fit into some
Right.
funding, like maybe
Right.
there's something that matches.
And
Yeah.
it connects
Well, I
to
think that-
pollinator pathways and their
Right.
funding
So
sources
could
there
that be
too.
something
Yes.
for Glacier?
Well, but
Yeah,
you,
we
you
can
guys
talk about
don't
We were
need
talking
to
about with the
decide that,
neighbors.
Right.
you don't need
Exactly.
to
And also
decide
with
the
some plantings
scope
there,
of
that could be
Glacier
mutually
right
beneficial
now.
for both
we just
initiatives.
need that consultant
So that's
to
a
help.
demonstration.
Do the plan.
And that consultant will help,
Demonstration.
like, oh
Yeah.
my god, I'm doing this for less than 3,000, but that's what's gonna happen.
Yes.
You know, because then you gotta take them there, you
Yes.
gotta orient them to what's going on, your vision for the facility, you know,
Yes.
you will have opportunity to really break down everything you wanna have happen.
Right.
Okay, and it's a great opportunity.
Right. So that's awesome,
that's-
and then just to keep moving on, because, and then the third thing under this, I just, to finish with 33. This one is the stream restoration
Okay,
project
yeah,
over here.
okay.
Then the third one is prepare a series of recommended environmental land management practices to help guide the stewardship and management of the town's parks and preserves. So that's what we were talking about with Ike and stuff, so Ike and the,
How would we do
the-
that though?
well, we were thinking of like in
Native plants
service.
and I mean, there are all sorts of ways that we can
We
work
were
with the
thinking of doing some, like,
DPW and town.
In-service stuff with
No,
the
I-
staff.
So there's
Right, in other words, you're saying go and speak with the staff?
Yeah,
A coaching, you know, do kind of
Is
native
that
plant,
something that we can
identifying
do, how
invasive
do we fit that in with the time frame of there being, I don't know exactly how we would do that, would it
Have
be
to
an
try to line
evening
that up.
event or?
No, they
During their
work,
work days or-
they,
do
they,
like
they're
a
gone
2-hour
by
luncheon
3
kind
o'clock.
of thing.
So we'd have to
Maybe
get
we could do
They
permission.
don't hang around,
Right,
yeah,
so we'd
we-
have to get
It
permission
could be like
to
a
do that.
field-based,
Well,
you know.
and here I'm thinking, can we tie this into our municipal separate storm sewer permit? Because that requires training, the folks that need to be trained are DPW folks. So, just rest on that a bit.
That's an interesting
Okay.
idea.
Yeah.
Well, cause that's how you get the captive audience to
Right.
discuss
Is it
what
almost
you
like
want.
like an in-service towards this end
No,
somehow?
well, because we are what's considered a municipal separate storm sewer system, we have to implement 6 minimum control measures that DEC requires us to do. One of them is good housekeeping practices, you know, where you reduce your fertilizers, your pesticides, your herbicides, you know, we don't use any of that, but this could be tied to that as part of our MS4 educational opportunity.
that would be
That's
awesome,
really
and then we could just
And
do
I
a
can
piece
get you
on,
floor time with that.
that would be
Okay,
great,
that
because then we
sounds
could do
great.
like native, a
great.
native plant one-on-one kind of thing,
And
you know,
invasive identification
right.
and cause it's one of the
Yeah.
things that so if the idea is like one pass, so it saves the time, so instead of presenting a barrier of invasive removal of, okay, now we're going to remove the invasives. It is part of it as you're already weed whacking, weeding, it's an add-on when you're in one location. That's the time to do it, instead of having to make repeated trips to
Right.
go back again
Right.
for something special, right?
So,
Because
so,
you recognize
so,
it.
so this whole approach is something that needs to be taught.
Right.
Because right now, there are just kind of,
Sure, sure.
you
Yep.
know,
Yeah, they're probably
but-
putting some good stuff in there too, because
Yeah.
they're not distinguishing.
I'm sure they,
Oh, yeah.
like I said, there's very few people that understand
Right.
what it is they're, when I
Right.
said you needed to weed and water the plants on the street, it means every day weeding and watering, not once a week.
Right.
Okay, but again, they come, they water, they go.
Right.
Okay, there
Who
is no.
supervises those folks?
Oh, that's a big issue. I don't wanna.
Okay.
Cause we should be sensitive to that and that,
Well,
you
well,
know,
and your two main
Yeah.
entities that deal with the town properties are
Right.
Jerry Morshell, Commissioner of Public Works, Bart Carey, and Ike. Okay, so between the two of them they and their staff are responsible for managing the lands. Okay, lands, roads, the property. Okay, so it's their staff that need the training regarding the things that you guys are talking about.
So would it be, let me ask you this, I mean, would they be is it, what is the best way to approach this in terms of politically or just sensitively towards,
So
how
this
do
is
we
what I'm gonna say to you,
do that?
do you have a program written out where you can explain what it is you're going to teach, is it 45 minutes, a half hour?
We could come up with a
We could do it.
curriculum.
I'm sure we
So you give me a curriculum that I can examine and associate with the MS4 permit, I will set up the training for you.
That'd be great.
That's
What is-
fantastic.
Could you repeat to me what Jerry is the
Jerry
DPW
Morshell is the
Public
Commissioner of Public Works. His Assistant Commissioner Bart Carey is really doing a lot of the hands-on with the staff. Ike Cusio, and then he has a couple of parks guys that work for him, but he will intercross with DPW employees. So when I say train, it will be all of them, and most likely it'll probably be, I think they come in at 7:30, so a 7:30 to 8:15 before they get
a
out on the
breakfast
road
kind
for
of
a day. Exactly, we bring them food and coffee,
Yeah.
goods.
Maybe there's-
Exactly,
They
so
might-
maybe there's
what
like
I
a
would do
fun-
is I would arrange down in their area to I don't even know, their cafeteria where they have lunch down there, is a morning meeting with donuts and coffee, and you guys can come in and teach them about what they need to know when they're working out in the field.
And maybe a
DP
field piece too, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm wondering, there could be like a classroom piece and then out in the field.
So
it's like
guys,
a
go take a
two-part,
look at
one after the
DPW and look at.
Where are they?
On
They're
Hunts
all
Lane.
Lane.
Oh, yeah, I know that, I know
we-
where they are, yeah,
I'm sure there's a brook that runs
Oh
right
my
along
gosh,
the- Right.
I walked down there, it's by World Cup,
Yes.
I'm like,
I know, we're on it, yes.
It's really bad, yeah.
Right,
there's
so
a
you
lot of field work we can do over there,
There's a
man.
lot of
use
stuff
that
that
as your
that doesn't get tended to.
Oh my gosh,
there.
get me over there, man.
No, but here's the thing,
Yeah.
this is an opportunity.
Oh, you're kidding me,
This is-
yeah.
Maybe get the kids from World Cup.
Oh my god, the little ones are
Start them
good.
young,
Yes.
start them young.
And I think we should give some strategic thought to framing, because if they're bosses, in other words, it's so important
So in
for
order
them
for
to
me
buy
to-
in, so we're not like these
Right,
crazy
so-
women.
so
Yeah,
running
crazy
in.
women, yeah.
Listen,
Yeah,
that's
we
why,
are
and that's
crazy
why
women.
you have me.
Yes.
That's why you have me.
So
You're the
Okay,
ambassador.
I-
Crazy
well-
women, let me just say, so the first time that I met Ike, it was with this was with Henriette Schur's, the board of trustees with that. She makes us all look good, and I have to say, we had John working on the shed planting that Missy designed, and it was 99 degrees, there's been no rain, I said, could you please have the water, I felt so badly doing it, but he did. The plants survived, that's the only time they've been watered, and so, seriously, I mean,
No, everybody wants to do the right thing.
it is,
I
and,
think
and John,
everyone does.
I was,
Yeah, they want to.
actually, we were out there with our little stuff, and then he left, and I thought, I said, well, maybe he'll come back. He came back with a chainsaw. He was our hero. I mean, some of these grapevines were so big that we would never have been able to hack away at it. So yes, I tell you, they're
So listen,
wonderful.
and I will tell you, a little bit of knowledge goes a long
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
They will
yeah.
all want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is expect that they don't want to. They have
Oh.
never been shown, they have never.
Sure.
It's kind of like, guys, when you're doing your road work, could you please use this app on your phone and update our maps while you're doing it? You're putting in the pipes, you know what size it is, could you fill in that column?
Yeah.
They need to be given the app, they're on their phones, we need to break down that disconnect. So, I will make sure, what I say to you is I need a half hour to 45-minute program where you get your most important messages across. I need a one-page description with the syllabus on it. I will endorse it as an MS4 training. I will set it up for you. It will most likely be at 8 and 7:30. I'll talk to the commissioners of public works. I will get it set up. We will make sure that Ike's guys go too. They all start at the same time, and I will get you to get this training done.
That's great.
Okay?
Thank you.
That's really great.
So, and then that is
That's that.
part of your land practices, health guide, stewardship type
So
of thing.
let's just hop down to the next one, responsible
Oh, yeah.
regionalism.
A lot of this is underway already.
And we already started some of this, so The municipalities, we sort of were doing that, so Steve was doing some of that,
This is
just
the
with,
piece I was
Oh, with
most
the whole-
excited
Yeah.
about because there's so
corridor
much,
you
you know, we've talked a lot about that here we are in Chappaqua, Newcastle, we're right near Pleasantville, we're right near Mount Kisco, we're right now near Ossining. What happens there affects us here, we need to start thinking about it regionally as opposed to just, you know, isolated towns. And I think there's a thirst for that among other towns too.
Yeah.
And so starting to think about, you know, preserving those corridors and working, I mean, it very closely connects with the next one, which is really, you know, the conservation board liaisons getting together, like Karen and I went to the first in a long time, Ella, you know, educational leaders group through T-Town, that's just starting up again, so there's excitement around that, so that's a way to connect with
That's
the
great.
other boards, and the Pollinator Pathways Initiative, of course.
We've already
Misty and I
started.
are already, yeah, I mean, well, we started kind of the
Yeah.
coalition and now we're building, I mean, everyone around this table, I think, I don't know if Karen's been to a meeting yet, but we just started, we had our
Pollinator
second
pathway,
meeting.
haven't been able to.
Yeah, it's okay, we just had our second meeting, we have a nice, you know.
so this is sort of all the way, in other words, this is basically underway, number 46.
Yes.
So objectives 1, 2, 3, 4. So that one we don't even have to, it's moving.
Right.
So now let's flip over. The okay, so let's see where we are in this one.
Well, the mapping ties in with.
The mapping-
With the,
Isn't that what-
pollinator pathway, with the, and there's
And
also.
Kellen is such a good
He was-
resource around
I
this
thought
stuff.
he was,
Yes.
something was happening
Yes.
with
Yeah,
him.
he's
too.
Kellen was working with Steve
Right.
Yeah.
on some of the mapping.
Okay, so that's already moving then. Guidelines for homeowners, so we did that buffer thing.
Right.
So that's one piece of it, so we'll keep
Yeah.
moving
Can
on
I-
those,
yeah.
so,
One quick question,
Yep.
one quick thought about that, I was thinking, I don't know if anyone wants to do this but what about trying to come up with maybe a presentation that we could make at the library at some point, if we can ever do that at the library again, or somewhere, maybe at the
Do it at the
the auditorium, yeah. Where I think so many people, you know, are clueless really, because it's so difficult and there's just way too much information for everyone, it just gets exhausting.
Yes.
So what if we came up with a really simplified plan, like maybe one time we could talk about, I don't know, I don't wanna say 5 plans, but really draw it down, right? To the very simple things that people can use and do and learn. For instance, I'm not sure if everyone knows, it's on my mind about boxwood blight and what's happening with that. And, you know, all of a sudden your boxwood looks kind of weird, like, is it the deer, is it a disease, you know, what is it? Like letting people know about these things.
Yeah.
Right.
To help conserve our environment, because we may have to come up with alternatives if
And
something
knowing about
gets
inkberry,
diseased.
which is
Yeah,
such a great
better,
native
yeah.
alternative to
Yeah, but
box.
people don't know.
Right.
So
Yeah.
actually there was Dr. Doddery with the Rocky Hills environmental lecture, so we can talk about that afterwards with Volaterra, because it's also in your Pachysandra, which is the real problem
Yes.
with your boxwood. So yes, we had talked about planning ahead. Well, two things. One, Missy had a very successful with continuing education. I think that that's nice to be offering. They do spring and they do the winter, and to advertise that, that's a nice way of continuing with programming. And then for the bigger programming, the library construction is due to wrap up, and I'm sure that it will. We have the 50th anniversary of Earth Day next April 25th, I think it is.
Oh,
So,
how nice would that be?
Yeah, we've already
to
on the,
start
have a list,
planning and
yeah.
to do, you know, to have
Like a
maybe
celebration, you
three
know.
speakers, and to have something where we're also either, you know, showing what we have done, but also what we're planning, and something hands-on too. I'm not quite sure how that piece works, but not just a straight lecture format. I think that we'll attract more people if there is active involvement tied in as
Fun
well.
activities, interactive.
But yes,
We
there-
should get
there
that
is
on a
interest in
calendar
that.
already,
Yeah.
like, is there a calendar?
Same one
Thing.
who does the thing on the board. When was
She's
that,
got the book.
April
I
25th?
think
Yeah, let me
so.
just check
Is that-
the.
It's gonna come very quickly.
But we wanna
when
put,
things
we
are
want, we
going.
have to, like, that's, we're doing that.
2020.
Oh God.
Because there
Well, you
actually
did
starts
the
April
sale at the train
25th is a
station, didn't
Saturday.
you, last year?
Oh,
You did the plant sale at the
It's
train
always
station?
Mother's Day, yeah.
it's-
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
this
that was
weekend.
a hit, wasn't it? Everybody loved that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if we, yes, so it's our major fun, yes, so that's always Mother's Day weekend with that. There's also Arbor Day, which falls in the same week, so they usually just do this whole either Arbor Week and Earth Day type of thing for the celebration. It would be hard for us to push the sale date any earlier because of plant availability. So, especially with the late
yeah.
spring,
It's tricky
so,
timing.
so even some, Sue and I were just talking that some things are earlier, some things are later, but doing it ahead of time would be tough. Although, the Native Plant Center does theirs early, but then
Right.
we'd like to do it, I think we've done it for 90 years.
It's always on Mother's Day. The entire time I've been in, it was Mother's Day.
But we should do
Things are
like,
too young,
but
we can
just,
have plans
we
incorporated.
Yes.
April 25th, 2020 is gonna be the Newcastle
That's the
Earth
day.
Day celebration.
Start thinking about speakers.
We need to do like a,
See if the week
like
is
a
at all.
steering
Where,
committee, it's a
where do
Saturday.
you want this to happen?
I don't know.
All over town.
It could be
Everywhere.
multiple locations
Yeah.
in town,
You know,
Some things that get me, some things that don't.
right, it could be a hiking glacier, it could be we could, it's like,
Yeah.
we need
So
like a little bit of a
you need
steering.
a
different
schedule.
We need a schedule and a steering.
Just to be able to meet, for me to be able to reserve and post and all
Yes,
that, I
yes,
need a little bit more.
yes, yes,
Right.
Okay, so
we
this
do
isn't
too.
ready yet.
It isn't ready yet, but we
But
know
it's
we're gonna
starting
do
to
it.
There.
percolate, it's starting to percolate.
So,
But you would wanna have it downtown, I mean, I
We
know
might.
somewhere.
we might wanna maybe,
Construction.
it's a year from now.
There's
It's a
some
year
there are
from now.
tracks, there's an
And we
education
should
track, there's an
start
outdoor
having a
activity
steering
track,
committee
there
and
should
like
be-
make a plan and schedule and get stuff booked in there, but
Starting a year ahead of time, that's pretty good.
Actually, the
It's not like
question
it's a
about
last minute thing.
funding for a speaker, we have briefly spoken to Steve about that. How does that work? Or,
Yeah, cause we wanted to get Doug Tallamy in, I mean,
right,
we
so
would love to figure out how to do that.
do we have access to funds if we were to do an educational program at the library?
I'd have to
pay a
check,
speaker's fee?
were you guys given a budget?
no.
We've never been given a budget.
The only budget we know of
Unfortunately.
is the Glacier, that I know of.
Well, ladies, budget season's coming in
Okay.
August.
Oh,
Ah, so that's good timing.
If you have a program for the 50th celebration of Earth Day in Newcastle, and you have this whole programmed out, and you have a sense of the dollar amount that you need, that you'll be looking for other sources, I can put in a budget request and fight the fight for you based on all of this, and see if we can get some money.
Yeah, it's worth trying.
right, we can do that.
Yeah.
Actually,
That's
that's
great.
good because we should be doing it by
I mean, what's
August.
5,000, you
Yeah.
know?
It's true, relatively speaking.
Relatively
Right,
speaking.
yes, exactly.
Now, the steering committee, is there one yet? I mean, we
No.
talked about it at the last meeting, that we were gonna talk about it this
Because
meeting
now we
or
have an
something.
August deadline, so
Yeah.
we really have to kind of,
It gets earlier and earlier each year when I need to put in the
Is
budget.
it like August first or?
I
Let's
would
call it
target you
July
guys to
15th.
please get it
Yeah.
to me by like mid-July.
So you
Yeah,
can see
July
what we're
15th.
thinking
Well,
of.
honestly,
Well, I don't
yes.
know what your schedule is.
we should
When
just-
she tells
we
me
could
I need to have my
put something
preliminary
together
budget in, I
in a
have
couple
to get
hours
it in.
probably,
Right.
just
They've
by
started
thinking
doing it in
through
August.
what we
like
wanna
early
do.
August.
When was it
I would love to
before?
be part of that.
Yeah, of course.
I can't imagine.
But
how
we-
much
we-
Was it ever in
still-
September?
But
It
all
was-
are we
it
all
used to
on
be,
it?
Yeah, they were all on it.
And now it's,
Yeah,
But,
why not
We
brainstorm
can
together?
find
Yeah.
one just to bring in,
Yeah.
you know, talk
Because
to
they
them and
wanna
say,
have
will
the
you be willing
budget,
to do
they
this
don't
next
want-
year?
Right, yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, again, like I keep thinking about that one in Mount Kisco,
So
like
they
they
need
brought
more
like
time
it was so cute,
talk
like
about
they,
it.
I wanna bring up
Maybe.
something, you know, just in a timely kind of, you know, we're doing the pollinator pathways connection and Healthy Yards, Newcastle Healthy Yards, we just had our second planning meeting this morning and we're gonna be at the farmer's market again. So, and we're trying to figure out who's gonna come, this time we're doing not just general information, but people to come speak on different topics there on Saturday mornings. So really, the conservation board could come anytime you want and have a plate, not anytime you want, but we could pick, you know, times and topics and just have a platform there if you're interested in doing that. And like we did last year, we had a couple of days over the summer where we would bring all the different, you know, but we can
Invasive
really publicize.
examples, yeah.
But we can ramp it up this year, like last year was the first year we did it, so it was, I don't know if did you ever go to the farmer's market?
once in a while.
So every
But I don't
Saturday
live in
morning.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know,
No
so I would
pressure.
come,
No
your
pressure.
I wish I could, honestly, it's a real drag, cause the fun things happen on Saturday morning.
Yeah,
I'm at soccer though.
yeah.
But we were there pretty much every Saturday morning with either focusing on native plants, identifying and removing invasives, organic lawn care, what other topics, no pesticides.
But here's the
leaf
thing
blower
too,
stuff.
take a video with your phone, we could put it on the website.
I mean,
Videos, like, yeah,
seriously,
such a good way to
there's a lot of good opportunities to publicize the work that you're doing, to have it keep going, and that is all part and parcel to our MS4 permit.
MS4 permit, we should all memorize that.
Municipal separate storm sewer system.
Thank you.
Storms and sewers. So anyway, so we're gonna do this, these brochures and fact sheets. So we've already done one on the buffer thing, right?
When does that come out? Do you know when it comes out?
What?
This whole, this water mailing?
It's delayed. It should come out soon.
No pressure, just curious.
I know, I haven't gotten my newsletter in there yet. You got yours done, I haven't gotten mine done. And I'm hoping it hasn't, I've already given it to her, so.
But we could, we can sometime have those as handouts for things, and we'll make more of those, different topics.
That's a good idea, can that be in the lobby? Like, can someone make 100 copies and put it in the lobby? Just so anyone passing by town hall?
website.
What about
Why don't we just have it scroll on the thing?
Because
Or
everybody,
in the newsletter even. I mean, I know we're having a newsletter
you
that we're
send
wanting it
it?
to be in the newsletter, but this
You
could be
know,
in the
there's a
newsletter.
bulletin board in the train, like the platform,
Can you send this
What
to
about
me as a
you?
PDF?
sticking it there.
Yeah, that's
If
good.
you send it to me as a PDF, I'll send it to Rob Greenstein, why doesn't he put it in as a newsletter?
Yeah, do you need a PNG? Like, do you need
I
a
don't
JPEG
know.
or?
And I put it on
Rob,
Chelsea
please
Pop
take
all
care of
the time,
this.
two or three times, for different things, cause people were asking like, what are those like trees with the white flowers, and of course they're bad for hair, and
Pears, yeah.
and
Who was
and
asking that, or just?
just a random person, we're like, no, Bradford pears, here's the list, and people are like, oh,
It
really?
looks so beautiful, but no one knows the story behind it,
Right.
to your point of like, people don't realize, you
Right,
know?
so anyway, but the point is, like, I said, and the conservation committee just came up with this new list.
It's great.
And they were, if you JPEG it, you could see the picture of it versus having them click on it to open up a attachment.
okay.
And people were like, thank you for the list, I was looking for a list,
Yeah,
like,
it's great.
again, like that
Very
kind of thing, so
inspiring.
just posting all that kind of stuff, but anyway, so we're doing those and we'll do more of them. This newsletter, conservation
I'm almost
corner.
ready to go with the newsletter,
Yeah.
just in terms of
Oh.
timing, like, that's another thing we wanna get into the actual newsletter, and
Mm-hmm.
it's occurring to me more and more that we may not wanna say it's quarterly, we may just wanna say newsletter,
Yeah.
because
Oh, that's
there
fine.
may be, like we were
We
talking
might
about
wanna do-
another issue that could come up, and why wait another
Keeps us-
quarter?
Oh, you don't
to
have to
find
really
out?
do it quarterly,
Keeps it
just do whenever you
flexible.
want.
Yeah.
And
Just
Victoria's,
the inter-
it took that on as her,
And there's a first draft, I have to just finalize that, so.
and then I have to finish that page for our
The website.
our webpage. I have it, but it's just not done yet, so, and I'll get it to you, Sabrina. And then this quarterly speaker series, what we should really just do is like put dates on a calendar and then like book them in, so.
Because I don't think that Rocky Hills is doing their lectures anymore.
Oh, that's too bad.
To tell you the truth, I don't think that there has been one in the last 2 years.
Yeah, that's a good point, I'm trying to remember the last one. It
Well,
happened a while.
we can
We can come up with
put
it.
them,
to fill the
we
gap.
just-
And again, I just feel like there's so much good energy right now, Conservation Board could co-sponsor
Right. Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
Garden Club,
Yeah,
with Pollinator
Pollinator
Pathways,
Pathway.
with the.
I mean, look, and there's plenty of
Beautiful
people
thing.
who
There's
talk
so
for, I
many
know we
different points
want
of
a
light,
budget
so to
for
speak.
speakers and stuff, but there's plenty of
Yeah.
people who talk for free, including any of us, so,
We
you know.
could even combine it with the garden club, we have a
Yeah.
speaker every month.
Yeah, and we could do like a panel discussion, or like and have people talk for 10 minutes and
Combine
then.
with the garden club.
Pardon?
How would we do it that way?
Well, so we have Wednesday but we do make an effort to try different dates and different times, either evening or Saturday, so
No, but I meant how would it work? Would you just advertise it as a kind of a joint effort, or
A co-sponsor, we could have a
and
bunch of
open it up more to
co-sponsors.
the public as opposed to just the.
all of our
You
meetings
know,
are
that,
free
that
and open
LED
to the
sign
public.
out there, why
So
isn't
all
there
of our
anything
meetings are
flashing on
open
that?
and free.
Right, because we didn't know, we didn't think of
I
that.
didn't even think of putting the Pollinator Pathways thing on that board, that's, yeah.
Wait, we could put our
And help
monthly
you.
sign on, monthly meeting on there?
Sure.
It never even
Who do we
occurred
tell
to me
that?
to do that.
You? Oh, Sabrina, we like knowing you.
Actually, because
Send it to me,
Really
listen,
good.
send it to me in an email, cause all I do is,
Yeah.
hey Lyle, can you program this please? And he's like, it's
That's
too
a great
long, I'm
idea,
like,
'cause
you can
you know
edit
what?
the way you want.
Because we don't, it used to
That's
be
how that
you put
happens.
things on the triangle.
Right.
Every once in a while.
Okay, awesome.
I got connections, people.
Yeah, that's good to know. So thinking about number 15,
This stuff
we
is-
basically have most of this stuff moving.
Yeah.
Right? So now let's look at 16. So this one is a bigger deal. This is something I think Steve was working on. I don't know, it was this, I'm
This
trying
is
to find my notes. Cause remember we had somebody assigned to each one of these.
We started talking about this, yeah.
But
It's
GIS,
just
I
important.
wrote GIS/Steve.
Yeah.
And maybe grants.
That's Kellen.
yes,
Okay, so that one is a
And
bigger
Missy,
deal.
I seem to remember Missy was somehow involved with this, remember, because she was talking with the DEC about coming in to speak with us
And there's some
about the,
grants,
a lot
the
of the
possible funding.
initiatives
There
that are going on
are,
right now.
yeah.
So that one is a
Open
question
space,
about what we're
resource
gonna do.
resource index,
And then the number
what
Yes,
DEC
18,
is working on.
I also wrote
Yes.
GIS/Steve.
she was working on that.
Yeah,
So those are
Yes.
more like
Right,
more
because-
larger, harder, for
Because-
in terms of us, you know,
That's more
objectives.
us.
Yeah,
Are you, right,
that's more,
but these are important part of what we want, but more out of like our volunteer kind of like, you know,
We play a
Enhance.
supporting role rather than a major role.
right. But all the other things, we're sort of moving on.
You know what I was just thinking, you're right, but I was just thinking about something. I think, I mean, how many people in town really even know there's a conservation board? Think about it.
Like how many, 1,
10
2,
people.
3?
And I didn't
So-
until 2 years ago, not until it was
Right.
the Douglas telling me,
Yeah.
when I had just met
It's
Missy,
like
so,
a
yeah.
little known secret. Suppose everyone knows there's a planning board or building department, so I wonder how we could kind of, especially in this climate of everything that's happening with the environment and everyone, at least some people are focused on it. How, I wonder how we could raise our awareness.
Just gonna
How
get that
could
little
we do that?
flyer, they're gonna get that little
Flyer.
two-page
Should we-
in their
Well,
wallet.
and also,
Should we
should we
put marketing
in the-
plan?
in the
Marketing
Like
plan
a
and
marketing plan, or even
go to
saying the
community
conservation
day.
board
Okay.
meeting is blah
You need
blah.
a table
Anyone
at
is,
community
anyone is
day.
tell them.
Oh, by the way,
in the past, by the way,
Yeah.
we have
Community
it.
day,
I
used to go
refuse
every year
to, and I refuse to participate in community day unless they ordered all nice tables and made it all look as good, like every town table should be,
Yeah, it's not.
it's
Yeah.
getting better.
But actually, speaking
We
of,
should do that on community day.
well,
When
we should
is
do,
Community Day?
it's always
We
like,
used to do it,
it's,
actually.
it's
Done it.
September.
I did- I
it's
did
like
it
the
for like
second
3
week
years
in
a row.
September, something like
Remember,
that.
I did it a long
You
time
did it too.
I love
It's fun to do,
community
and
day.
people, because
Oh, I
it's
love
like
it.
to hand
It's
out.
I bet it's gonna
Yeah.
be the 14th, I'm just guessing, because that's like the.
See if it's
You
in
will
my
win a prize if
calendar.
you're right.
The Saturday that's not Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur,
I
That's
think
because
they have
it's
to,
not,
like after Labor
No.
Day and not those two holidays.
I think they make sure.
otherwise it's the
It's,
21st.
it's
Find
the,
that
it's the,
Saturday.
I think
That
it's
would
the chamber or the farmer's market that dictates that.
I think Rotary,
Yeah.
is Rotary?
Rotary, it's Rotary,
Yeah, I think so.
Rotary,
So, if it's, is it in your calendar, Spring?
I'm looking, probably not.
So does
So it's one of those dates.
Does Sustainability Advisory Board belong to the Chamber of Commerce?
It's a town board. I mean,
Just
a
the
town,
town
it's
does.
it's like
Committee
you
like this.
guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have
But
September
they
15th
run
in my
things
calendar.
I know,
pretty
but
much
September
on their
15th
own.
Oh, that's last year,
Sunday.
that's last year.
Oh, wait a
Sorry,
minute, it's
coming
this
up
year,
with
you know
last
what? I was looking at,
No, it is last
Oh,
year,
I want
2018,
19,
it's
It
September
would be
15th.
September 14th.
You can,
SAB is an advisory board like you guys.
right.
And they are very independent. You know, I send Kellen to their meetings just to hear what they're doing, so to speak, because again, they're the same. Their objectives are consistent with the comprehensive plan, and they've been very helpful in supporting. For example, we were a clean energy community, and they helped us obtain achieve the status of the clean energy community where we won $100,000, and we were able to purchase the electric bus, and you know, so there's a lot of good things that come out of there. But things like the leaf blower legislation, that is something that they worked on, created, and then it got, you know, intermixed into the political arena, and they're discussing it next week.
Right.
What
Okay.
about, has anyone talked about, I just got a flyer on this, what is it called, the Daffodil Project? That is, I think it's a startup from Google, and it's basically New York is partnering with it, and it's all about geothermal, air conditioning and heating, and there's financing available. It's a whole new thing, it's very interesting. Now, I would assume it would be something that we could, in essence, address, as opposed to, I mean, I think there's a little bit of, you know, crossover sometimes with sustainability. I don't know if they've looked at this at all, but it's a really interesting program. And I mean, that's something that we could, I don't know, find out more about and maybe present in a newsletter or something like that. I thought it was very interesting.
Do you wanna look at that, Karen?
Yeah.
Alright, why don't you look
I'm
at it,
gonna
because,
look at
I mean,
that.
I feel like
I think it's really interesting.
we have a lot, like, my philosophy is, if you care about something,
Yep.
run with it. You know, like, I think we've got enough, I personally feel like I've got enough on my plate
Oh,
right
yeah,
now,
no, but I just find it's
I
just
feel-
something new and
Yep.
it's, I don't know where
But
it's
to get
gonna
back
go.
to your question, like how many people know about us, I think the more we do, and the more visible they are.
Right.
So again, like I posted the buffer thing on like Chapcore Moms, you know, because someone asked about plants.
Okay.
So if we do that all the time,
Right.
people will say, oh, conservation committee, you know, and if
Contributing.
then I can get, you know, when we fix our website and we have the links on the website, we can send it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
This
the
is what you
sustainability
need
board.
to do, is you see this second line here?
Yeah.
You need to make that second line consistent with this, because right now it's getting lost.
branding,
You-
too.
You need to brand you so that everything you put out has the seal and the conservation board on it,
Oh, okay.
okay? Just from a marketing standpoint,
Yeah.
So you
because,
mean,
so right now, the Town of Newcastle Conservation Board, it looks like a subtitle.
Yeah,
Right.
it needs to be on top,
You
like
need
the
to
heading,
put it at a heading, and then everything you produce
Right.
have that.
has that heading.
So how would you suggest, would Town of Newcastle, just conservation board underneath?
So typically
Put it
move
up at
this
the top.
seal with Town of
Yep.
Newcastle over here and then put in, you know, a different color.
Yeah.
Conservation conservation board.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm
Yes, I do.
saying? Because, and then that, all of you use that on every single
That's like
thing
our-
that you
The
do.
standard.
Landing, or logo branding,
Visual.
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly, because you already got this and everybody, when they see that, knows, oh, that's the town. So now you wanna, not a subtitle, this is, you're running it.
Okay.
It's like we're a division of.
Maybe we could mock something, we could kind of
Yeah.
do something
can
with it, yeah. By the way, it's the dandelion project, not the daffodil.
Oh.
Okay. I just
I like
got my
dandelions.
D's.
Okay, so anyway, so Sabrina, just to answer your question, and Karen, I think we've got, other than those large ones, 16 and 18, we sort of have a handle on most of the other things, but it sounds like what we, deliverables are, I'm gonna get that website done and off my to-do list. We're going to, and then within the next month, do a planning session for the
Arbor Day,
20, or whatever it's called, Earth Day
Yeah.
2020.
so that we can get a figure by July 15th.
Right, and a schedule and ideas. We also should come up with a quarterly speaker series. And we
in
could,
addition to a quarterly speaker series?
well,
I mean,
let's
I
just
love
say,
it if we can
period, let's
actually
say
make that happen.
periodic speaker
Yeah.
series.
Even
if Yeah.
Because
we
we could
don't
say
say
like, because even if we say
Periodic.
Missy's to teach,
Or speaker
Con Ed,
series.
continuing ed things
Right.
are two of them.
That's true,
Right.
we can actually teach some of them, as you said,
Right.
it's true.
Right, and
I mean,
they don't have to be through
Right.
continuing ed, but they could be at the library, or they could be a panel discussion, or they could be
Right.
like that cute guy, those,
Or up at the auditorium.
or we could at the gazebo at Getty Park, we can just bring in like Barbarian Burning Bush and say, like, get these out of your yards, you know?
But what I would really like is, as a lead up to the Earth Day, is to try to do something before then, where we have a speaker, where we have something set up maybe for the fall.
We could,
Because it's a
right.
practice
But-
run for us too.
But we do need to sit down and do a brainstorming session and like lay it all out on the calendar, so that's our
Yeah.
deliverable.
Okay.
And
And the
then
other-
you
And
need
I
to
would like to
do,
be part of that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you planning
And
a
also-
whole day event?
yes,
Okay.
but I don't know if it's, you know, why not?
Full day, cause then people think it's back to school type of thing, but you know, the idea that, you know, a speaker or two speakers or a panel or something to mix it up with that, and then something with a hike, something physically active, something
Outdoors.
yes, with that, maybe,
For different age groups,
We
different
could
age
be,
appropriate
yeah,
things.
we could do
Yeah.
things.
Have you done it before? I'm sure you probably have. You were talking about in the garden club, the little plants that you pass out. Okay. Could we get some of that from, when does New York State
Yeah, that
do
might
it?
line up perfectly actually.
The little
with
trees like for little
DVC
kids,
stuff.
like they could take their little tree and
And
plant
even
it in some
adults,
awkward place and the parents will die, but no.
yeah, so actually.
We have been
put it in my
growing our
garden.
trees, thank you.
No, but it's like kind of true, it's exciting.
It is.
So anyway, we'll come back with the schedule and
Yeah.
stuff, and then I'm just thinking what other
And
things.
then I remember
Oh.
Sabrina asked specifically for the 45-minute.
Yes,
Right.
that's right, we have to do that, yeah.
For Ike and Jerry's.
And the curriculum.
Right.
So that's 30 to 45 minutes?
30 to 45.
Yeah.
You gotta think of attention span.
We can make it as interactive
That's a
as
30 or
possible.
45-minute landscape maintenance.
Yeah.
Could it have an
For
indoor
water
outdoor
quality,
component, or
right?
is that too ambitious?
Say that
Is
again?
there- Could it have an indoor and outdoor component?
When, can you do a 20-minute indoor and a 20-minute outdoor?
So it has to all together be 45
I am thinking the
minutes long.
attention span.
Yeah.
Can
And
you
they're
do-
probably anxious to work and stuff like
Right.
that, yeah.
Well, the other thing is that I'd also like them to know that it's not just a one and done,
Yeah.
that we're there as
Maybe
a
it's a
source of
series.
continuous support.
Well, and then what I'm
2
gonna
or
say to
3.
you is
Right.
then let's set up a series
Yeah.
of landscape maintenance for water quality.
Right, and that if they have
Right.
questions, they can contact us with that, I mean,
They
there's
are
there-
not going to do that.
What about like
No,
20,
they're not, they will if it hits home with them and they wanna know about
Yeah.
their property, they're not gonna do it for their job. Okay, there's a highway school that occurs every year,
Oh,
they send 2 people to the highway school, everyone should go to the highway school.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But just to tell you, this is an opportunity to get in the door and educate people who are actively out there maintaining the landscape. They will be willing to learn, but they don't have the time in their day to pick up the phone and call with questions. Which is why don't feel pressured to add everything into one meeting. I can get a series going.
I think that might be better, cause I'm thinking, what if you present something, I mean, in the morning, that, I think more than 25 minutes is probably gonna be a lot, cause people start, thinking about other things, but if you did it again, like say you do it one time and then a week later or whatever, 2 weeks later, you have something where maybe people come and say, do you have any questions? Did you encounter this or that? What do you wanna do with it? I mean,
Or tell them, if you're working out in the
You know,
field and you
just tell
find
us
something,
what-
take a picture,
Yeah.
bring it
Yeah.
back to us,
Yes.
we'll
Yeah.
be back.
Yes.
Take a picture, we'll
And
be
we
back.
can bring stuff with
Yes.
us then, like
Well,
we can bring
well,
stuff
I
and
would
bring
really-
the outdoors indoors.
if they've encountered something, what the heck is
like a
it?
color, that's laminated so that they know
Do
what
they
they're
all know what
looking at.
poison ivy looks like? Do they know what
Yeah.
poison oak looks like?
Yeah.
All of that is
Are they
is
pulling out
really
Virginia creeper
important.
instead of poison ivy,
Yeah.
which would be sad.
You
Well,
Yeah.
also with
you like Virginia creeper?
Yeah.
Yes, that's one of my favorite vines.
So that's so interesting because on the Cape, everyone wants to get rid of it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a great source of berries for the birds, beautiful
No,
fall
but it's
color,
just
like
killing
gorgeous
everything.
scarlet. But it shouldn't be killing.
Well,
We'll talk about
okay.
that.
No, I'm
Anyway,
telling you,
so
that's
talk
what's
about it.
happening on the dunes.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
So it's very interesting.
So Sabrina, anything else for us?
And
we're gonna-
it's anything else for you.
Okay,
You can
so
see it's
great.
a highly motivated group.
So we
I
also
love it.
will communicate stuff via the Jumbotron.
Yes.
We could show the pictures of the invasives. This is Barbary.
If you see this,
Accident. No, you shouldn't do that, it would be like
No,
more
no,
than
no, I'm just kidding.
But, well,
Okay.
but pollinated pathways would have been a cute thing. Oh, and the other thing I was thinking too is, we're doing the pollinator pathway thing, so that, Glacier will be part of that, we're gonna try and expand around, the households around there. There's some other, like the parks will be part of that,
We should
But-
tell her about the patches, actually.
and the patches, but what I'm thinking is, the town itself, like, you said that you guys got the sustainability, got the town of Newcastle to be registered or whatever
Yeah.
the word is as
We were
a green community.
Cleaner, greener community.
Cleaner, greener.
Yeah, exactly,
And they give
which
you
has
a
led to
month.
more money and
Right, so there might be the
Some
equivalent
analogous
of
thing, yeah.
for this plant thing too, so like if Newcastle, we voted that we are now on the pollinator pathway, we just have to implement it and get
we
more,
can help you implement that stuff.
which is terrific, and then, but if we can get Newcastle to be a greener, cleaner pollinator place, or whatever, the word, what the equivalent is, that would be great for Newcastle too,
Yes.
like, we are part of
Are
this
we a
thing.
tree city? I don't even know if we're one of the, right? There are other local
Well,
towns
not
that
anymore,
are
we
now.
come down, no, just
yeah,
kidding.
I don't think we're a tree city.
Just kidding.
Maybe we have to wait.
Now, we were a
Yeah.
Tree City USA, that's how we got money to do more planting.
See,
Oh,
there you go,
God.
so like that kind of
It's
thing,
all,
so we
it's all
wanna
kind
tie,
of, you just make the
When are the
relationship.
trees
Yes.
gonna come back?
right,
Oh, that's so
Well, and let's talk about that, cause you raise a very good point in being able to see what they look like. there was no education whatsoever
right.
regarding
That's
what has
exactly
been
right.
planted,
No one prepared
how
people
long
for
it
it.
takes to
Yeah.
grow, what it will look like, and why are you cutting down these big trees that are ripping up the sidewalks? People don't see that. They
And
just
also
see
that they were Norway maples.
well, exactly.
Some were, well, some of the ones downtown were native trees, but
Right. Well, but again, in general,
there was no framing, so people
ex-
didn't have context.
Yes, yeah,
correct, and that framing, particularly when you talk about planting, because we are living in instant gratification. This has given us immediate gratification. Like this, when you plant something, it's not immediate gratification. You
Right.
gotta let it grow over time, and you have to take care of it properly, and
Right. And that's your big limitation with trees, but also with shrubs
Yes.
with it. And you're right that everyone wants the majestic 26, inch and their sea of lawn, with that idea, as opposed to planting something that looks like the stick in the ground for the
Yeah.
first few years. So it's really the life cycle of a tree is a hard sell, a very hard sell.
But you also need to educate people that trees that are old will die. Because there's a natural progression, particularly if a disease comes through. What was planted 50 years ago is not surviving today, and then there's die-off. They need to be maintained because they are falling and crushing
Well,
things,
right.
and you have to
The tree thing is
replant.
interesting, because that's
Is
a
there
whole other
something
conversation.
where you go through with that in terms of, I know, just individual with the trees, there's an assessment or a periodic, is there some sort of a
Check-in?
state of the tree where, or is it somebody reports
Like
that
an
there's a
inventory,
tree
You know,
on
it's
town
this is
property?
I don't, maybe we
Well,
wanna
if
make
it's
this a
trees-
conversation for another
sorry,
day, cause there's so much, I mean, I'm very into the tree thing. And I think what I've learned, and they're actually speakers, I've made contact with people who are brilliant, amazing tree people. A lot of trees, even though they're not healthy, they don't have to come down. A tree can be like 70% dead and not be a danger, and have a huge amount of wildlife living on it. So we have to, I think, we have to be very careful about arborists, because they make money taking down trees, they make money pruning trees. You really have to figure out ways, if you're talking about check-ins and inventories, to orient people that you often don't need to take them down, even though you could. And when you do take them down, you can turn them into a snack and leave a lot standing, so it has huge wildlife. So I just want us to be, and it's a group decision obviously, but where I come in on this is I do think we need to look beyond what, calling in Westchester Tree Life, who they're lovely and reputable, yet they do make their money on taking down trees and actually using pesticides also. So we have to, be very objective and think about, what are the messages we wanna send, and how can we educate in a broader way than what is Almsted would if they came in, as a conservation board,
Well,
what's
actually,
our perspective?
what I was going with is that you plan for a succession. So if there is a tree that is nearing the end of its lifespan, you start growing
I hear what you're
another
saying,
tree.
true.
Especially your oaks, your large,
That are different phases of their lifespan.
you do, and because otherwise it is hard to have a tree taken down and nothing there, you plan ahead because
Mother
you're dealing
Nature
with
does that
decades.
for
You're
us.
saying, yeah.
Right.
Mother Nature does that for us. I mean, and when
Except
you
for the deer, sadly, so.
Well, I mean, but no, I mean, there's some big issues, I mean, particularly in this area of the country where we have a lot of old growth, when the extreme weather events come through, they are decimating our trees, and then you have a big hole, and it's gonna take some time to fill it,
Right, I
and
guess
so
what I was saying
people.
is the deer, you're eating the seedlings, so
Right.
Mother Nature used to be able to do it until the
Right.
deer started killing the
Yeah,
next
well,
generation.
Well, exactly, and well, you also have vines, invasive vines that are also killing the next generation, and so it is,
True.
it is an education, just a simple thing like, if you have invasive vines, it's best to take care of them in the fall. Recommendations on general homeowner protocols for maintenance of properties
Right.
that better the the
And
natives.
actually, the one thing that I did wanna say when you mentioned this is that the primary responsibility for invasive removal as well as trees with storm, damage is on the towns. So is there money that's available when towns are proactive in implementing different programs for that? Because it's the burden is on the local as opposed to, are there grants and other forms for that? Because it's
called
disproportionate.
storm hardening.
Uh-huh.
But you have to come in with
Storm
it's
hardening?
called storm hardening. It's used a lot when we talk about infrastructure and protection of the built environment.
Like resilience
Yeah,
oriented?
exactly. So the case can be made for storm hardening. If you recall on Spring Valley Road, Con Ed came in, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, and they cut down all the
Oh,
trees
yeah,
on their
the
wires.
whole strip, yeah.
That was their storm hardening effort, folks.
Really?
That's what that was.
Wow.
Because of all of the issue that they had with the trees on their wires.
Prophylactic removal, AKA prophylactic removal,
Yeah. So there's a better way to do storm hardening.
right?
Right,
But there needs to be guidance on
Right.
that.
right, because they don't remove the vines. So the
Correct.
trees are weakened and actually the vines are growing right along the wire, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is, so, yeah, okay, so
And
that,
with the changing climate, I mean, if you think about Sandy, a lot of healthy trees came down. I mean, this is what,
Yeah.
you know, when you think about, we don't know what's gonna happen with the storms and the wetness, and because the ground, and look where we are right now, I've been a little bit in fear that there's gonna be a terrible storm because everything's so
Yeah,
wet.
there already is. I had a tree fall on my dogwood the other day,
Oh.
and it
It's
chilled.
saturated.
I was so upset with myself.
sorry, that's
Right, because it was an old dead tree that was on the neighbor's property, and it was so wet, and it just came down. So then we spent the morning clearing out all the hanging limbs and trees and vines, and because we were in the midst of it. Yeah, it was horrible. And so, but there's a lot of people that are dealing with this. Particularly with the wet ground and neighbors who don't take care of their property or whatnot, and to have that guidance, I think, you know.
That's true, I mean,
Yep.
the world is our oyster, basically, I always come away from these meetings like feeling like the world is our oyster. There's so many things we can do if we can manage our time and
Yeah.
prioritize and.
Prioritize.
So that,
Yeah.
that goes back to my initial question, if you want to just think about, changing when we meet, I want
Were you
everyone to think
suggesting,
about
I'm
it.
sorry, I came in a few minutes late, were you suggesting a morning meeting or
I
a
was
daytime?
suggesting something during the day perhaps. We've
It's
always
possible.
had evening meetings, but we don't
Right.
have to have evening.
It's easier
I
on
mean,
staff to do it during the day.
I can make the time.
You know, if
not
this
as
was
reasonable
during
as
the
you guys,
day,
but
I
I
could
can
have
do
walked downstairs, Ike, you need to come upstairs, the conservation board has a
Yeah,
question.
that's what I was
Thank you for
thinking from the
staying.
conversation that we
You're
had, and this is why.
I'm not gonna leave you alone, Kelly,
No,
can make it
but
today.
I know what it's,
Day.
believe me, I used
Yeah.
to go to land use
Well, I'm
meetings
good,
and
I can go during the
midnight.
day too.
Missy needs
Missy-
afternoon.
Yeah, after 12:30.
Okay, yeah, that's why I didn't know what her,
She works in the
Takes
mornings,
care of
like,
oh, okay, and how about
8 to
everyone else?
12.
schedule.
Does Chip take care of his kids every afternoon?
I don't know
Or there's
what
some
his
little
schedule
window
is.
early afternoon that he can probably do,
I think
seems to remember.
I don't wanna speak for him, but I think, he
Why
also
don't we put out
works
just
from
an
home,
email?
so I think he has childcare, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, I don't wanna, I don't,
we maybe put out a little note
okay,
and say,
Yeah, you guys all got the email for your town accounts?
yeah, I gotta do that.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sorry to do
so
that to
sorry.
That's
you.
really great.
Listen, I'm
It's a
sorry to
wonderful
do
thing.
that to you. It is imperative because if something happens and somebody sues the town or whatever, your private email can be subject to open up in court. And also, if you have a town email, very large documents can be sent that won't clog up your private emails. So I hate to do that to you, but please use those accounts.
So for things
Okay.
like,
So we're supposed to call
minutes
someone,
and-
right?
between us, correspondences about topics, we should use that.
Yes.
Anything
Yes.
conservation board.
Yes.
Anything conservation board related,
Okay.
and if
Okay,
you
so-
get really angry at me, you can do it on your own email.
if I'm on two
Well,
boards,
you'll see how much praise we're
I'll have
getting.
I have the same name. So will I be directed to places?
That's a good question.
Because it's the same,
What's the other board?
I'm on Epic. Every person is connected, the special needs
Did
one.
they give you an email?
they did if I they would have, had I.
No, there are two
They
emails
told
that
us.
got up.
I haven't done it yet either, I haven't done it for either of them, but it would be my, it's first initial last name at my Newcastle. But I know it's part of the distribution list, so I'm just wondering,
Maybe
You
we
already
cover
have
everything.
an email, yeah.
I don't
As
know if
long
I
as it's
made
a
it,
town
I didn't make
email.
it though.
Yeah, but
So we call that guy?
I'll do it.
yeah,
I
call him
called
and
him.
ask him, and
Did
it'll
the
probably
email.
all be under one
It
email.
only took us 40 minutes for me to
Why, what happened?
Well, he didn't, first of all, he said he hadn't heard about it. It's like, why are you calling me?
Oh.
I said, well, I got this email, and he said, from who? And I said, you, and then, so then he somehow got on my PC and he was like pointing at things and here's your email, here's this, and do that, and it was like, wait a minute, I'm like totally lost. So finally, we went down to dinosaur speed, we went through it one step at a time, and I have the email.
Oh.
So it was very.
for you.
You're the first one.
Yes, good for you.
You got it!
Yeah.
God,
The rest of us are
I kept
looking at our toes
apologizing to
saying,
him. I said,
"Oh,
I don't see that on the screen, because he would tell me to do something and say, okay, now press the whatever
Oh,
button,
no.
I said,
Oh,
I
we have
don't
to do
have
all
it
that,
there.
oh dear.
Yeah, it shouldn't take that long.
No,
It
no,
was-
I'm
it
sure it'll
finally-
take me
He
as
finally
long.
figured out what I was on. And it wasn't, I guess it wasn't exactly where he thought I was gonna be.
Does it have to be a
That's where I
certain
was.
browser or?
No, there is no requirement, don't worry, just
Alright.
call.
He
Okay.
just, yeah,
Well,
and
well,
Listen, they have to
Sorry.
improve their social skills. Give them the
he was
practice.
he was very patient, I mean, he was
Who
very
did you
patient.
speak to? James?
Rich? No, might have been James.
I don't know.
I don't know, I can look it up, cause I wrote his name down at home, but I don't remember what it was.
It's okay, they should be
I
nice
think
to
it
you,
was
they
Rich,
should learn to
might
talk
have been
to you.
Rich or Rick, I
And
think
it's
that was what it was.
during business hours, 9 to 5 or 10 to 5, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have after hours support. I tried that. I'm like, you mean you're not gonna help me at midnight when I'm stuck at home with my computer trying to
Okay.
do work?
Alright.
Nope, your town didn't pay for that service.
Oh dear. Alright,
Well,
well,
Sabrina, this has been
yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah,
it's
thank you
really,
so
thank you
much.
so
My
much.
pleasure,
It's
I've really enjoyed it.
great.
Yeah.
It's really a fun
Listen,
meeting.
no, you guys do a lot of great things, seriously, so I'm happy to be here.
Or we will do a lot of great things, haven't really done super
Don't
happy.
sell
yeah,
yourself
we're
short.
not
You
a
seem
great
really
business.
organized and on top of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we haven't done it yet though.
But you're getting
Yeah,
there,
we're
so
gonna get
you've got
started.
some good benchmarks
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we have benchmarks.
I've got my homework, I've got to follow through
Yeah.
with Ike on the glazier
Okay.
plan that you sent him. And then the Tertia Brooks steam restoration, I'll check with Steve, so I will
Yeah.
check on those two
And I'm
things.
going to be bombarding you with emails until you get so tired of me. So I'll do the plant cell flyer and the landscape buffer for
Okay.
you on that.
Okay.
And ask if we want to do the meetings. I never even thought about that, putting them up on the
Calendar.
Jumbotron.
yeah. I can't say that without cracking up.
But here's the thing, if you're inviting people to your meeting,
I know, I have to
you
go
will have an
back to the board.
audience for your meeting. No,
Yeah.
you'll have an audience for your
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
And so.
I mean, the one thing I've always thought is we could, since we have such a rich and vibrant agenda of things we wanna do, or a list of things we wanna do, we could maybe someday have subcommittees of the conservation board, working groups, if people are excited about any of the
If
things
you
we're
want
doing.
membership for your board, that's different. Do you have a set number for your board?
Do we have
I don't know,
I think there might have been, but not, I don't,
we're the fullest we've ever been.
Yeah.
and this is-
Cause we were always connected with the ERB, so it always looked like
Well,
more
it was just so
people.
hard to get people, I mean, this was like perfect, that people who are really engaged in the environment.
It's gone through a lot of
So, you know what, here's the thing, your events, I think we should post them. I don't know if we wanna jumbotron your meetings.
no,
I can
not
put
these
you.
meetings, but your speaking meetings,
Your
you're
speaking
talking
Yeah,
meetings,
that would be
yeah.
good.
And I can put your meetings in the calendar if they're not already on the calendar, so people know you're here meeting on the night you're meeting.
Oh.
That's true. That would raise
Okay.
awareness too, even if they don't come.
Well, I think we should, just because I'm now recording you and, you know.
So they can watch us
Are
live.
you recording us? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So you verbally record audio tape?
I don't know, audio,
Or
I
is it
don't know if
video?
it's the camera, I don't know.
Hi everyone, I'm Victoria, nice to see you. I didn't realize, I know they started taping the ERB, but I didn't realize
Yeah.
they were starting to tape.
Why not?
This is the first one that's being
Yeah.
taped.
Yeah, well, I figure why not, go
What's the ERB?
go loud, environmental
Oh,
review board.
board.
That's permanent.
Well, but that's a permitting board,
Yeah.
but as a volunteer, because you guys don't have a permanent staff person, it's good to have these so they can look back through.
Yeah.
And, you know, do their homework. I don't wanna leave you with a newbie.
Oh,
Well,
that's good.
as is every working group meeting that we have, only the actual conservation board meetings monthly are gonna be
Yeah.
audio taped.
Unless you have a speaker and you want them taped.
Right. That's
Yeah, we
true.
might want to film to tape.
Right.
That's what I
But
mean.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
this is being filmed too.
Yeah. But I was thinking like we had like a speaker who was telling the community about.
Yeah, that
suffers.
you'd want to.
Then we'd want take
Yeah.
them, put it on
Yes.
NCCTV or
Right,
whatever it
right,
is.
for people
Yeah.
who couldn't make it, yeah.
I can post this on NCCTV if you want.
Not this,
Not this.
not this. This is
Just
more
such a word,
important.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is a
This
cure
is
for
too boring.
insomnia.
Yeah. But if
You'd be
we have a
amazed.
speaker, that'd be so cool, right? Anyway, well, thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you, it was my
Thank you for being
pleasure.
here.
So that you
My
can get home
pleasure.
and have a non-midnight day.
And is there any particular day that's better than the other if we decide to do something during the day?
Nope, there's a calendar out there, we would book it, but you'd have to do your whole yearly schedule, and we do an amended schedule for the rest of this year. And then come next year, at the beginning of the year in the organizational meeting, we have to do the new schedule for the following year.
Okay.
Well, if we
Okay.
figure out a day
Yeah.
and time that works for everybody, we'll
Yeah.
probably just keep it.
I
whatever
vote
it
for a
is, right?
Tuesday or Wednesday, that's just my initial gut, I can't do Thursday and Friday,
Okay.
and in some ways I'd like to
Leave it.
avoid Monday, so I don't know
Tuesday
what
or
other people
Wednesday?
think about that, but.
How about anyone
I'd say
else?
go Wednesday rather than Tuesday, just from this volume of things that
Right.
happen during the week.
So non-third week of Wednesday, because that would
Like
be a
like
conflict
a
for the
one.
Oh.
Garden
our meetings.
Right?
But we're only once a month.
Correct.
Right,
And which ones are yours?
we're the third Wednesday.
The third Wednesday, so.
Okay.
We're the, what
Well,
are
you
we
can
meeting?
stick to the first Wednesday if you're the first Monday.
Like at one-ish or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, you decide and just let me know.
Yeah.
And I'll
But we'll
book you
see
in the
what
book.
Chip's
That's good.
story is and then
Yeah.
we'll see.
Right.
I mean,
So we'll find out about that and
That's great.
the only thing I would say, if for some reason I had to go to court or
Right.
something, then either I wouldn't,
yeah,
Right.
right.
It's not
that I
gonna work
can't
for
change.
everyone,
Right.
every time.
Right.
And we might maybe that
Same
one
thing
week
happens
we
on
move to
Monday,
another
though.
Wednesday
Okay.
or something
Yeah,
like that,
true.
you know, or another day, the one time.
It's like I couldn't tell a judge on
No,
my
no.
conservation board meeting.
Sorry.
Right.
Sorry, Your
Work and
Honor.
work and family is always first, right? Work and this is volunteer, work and family is always first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sabrina. Have a safe drive.